Welcome to this week's episode of Car Stars and Roll Bars. I'm Mike Kinney, your host. Do me a favor. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share. Hit us up on YouTube. Tell all your friends and all the other social media platforms. As we go through our episodes, we have builders. We go to shows. We find all these great collections. And we have different publishers as well. Lots of aspects of what we have in the world of car culture and all the genre associated with it. Today, oh, yeah, hold on, y'all. Because you talk about publications. Well, everybody knows what a big nut I am regarding Mopars. Well, we got Kevin Shaw with us. Mopar Connection Magazine. You're going to hear everything that's going on. He has taken a unique approach to being a publisher, and he's really making a difference on how to go about it. Kind of standing the industry on its head and doing a heck of a job at the same time. We got a little video here to let you know he truly is a Mopar guy.
I'm Kevin Shaw, editor-in-chief of Mopar Connection Magazine. Today's the first day of Power Tour.
Okay, shotgun. I'm calling shotgun right now. See if we can get Kevin logged into the studio with us remotely, as it will. How you doing this morning, my brother?
Talk to you and be able to do this today. I think this is going to be a lot of fun.
It's a lot of fun. And yeah, for viewers, Kevin's kind of like my brother from another mother. We are diehard Mopar freaks, big time Hemi guys. We'll be talking about that as we go on. Before we jump into all our videos and pictures, got to talk a little bit about Mopar Connection Magazine. For the viewers, if you haven't heard of this, a lot of times it's okay, so I got to subscribe, I got to have a password, and you guys have just kind of skipped past all of that, right, Kevin?
Yes, sir. Really, the model for a digital magazine has kind of been amorphous. A lot of people, when they think about a Mopar magazine, or any digital magazine for that matter, they're thinking, oh, I got to download some sort of app, or I'm going to have to sign in, or I'm going to have to pay some sort of yearly or monthly subscription. We basically got rid of all that. And what we did is that we just gave the magazine away for free. Beautiful. And that really allowed us to, I mean, let's be really honest. People don't want to pay for anything online.
Sure.
All right. It's the forums, the forums of 20 years ago and YouTube and all the ways that we get to enjoy modern media. It's really free. Yeah. So I looked at it going like, well, do we charge people, or do we just give the content out? And the only way that we make any sort of way to keep the lights on is we bring in a lot of the advertisers that you would find in a regular magazine. I'd come from 10 years in print.
Exactly.
And so in the transition around 2010, 2011, when people started really kind of unsubscribing to the paper magazines or just thinning out their subscription count. I mean, I used to have 4 or 5 a month that I would pay. And that really just kind of started thinning out and dwindling.
Sure.
And we had to basically look at how a magazine was going to survive. And
perfect.
The way to be competitive in that sense was to be online, to be free. And the biggest thing was to be mobile friendly. Everyone's got one of these.
Got one of those.
And I'm not to be crude, but you and I grew up with a rack of magazines next to the John.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, I've been in here for 20 minutes reading articles. And now everyone's on their phone.
My smartphone hung on the wall and had a rotary dial when you lifted the receiver off the hook. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So I kind of figured you got to put the magazine where the people are.
Perfect.
And that was on their phones.
And
So
you're very successful at it. So viewers, get ready. So, and there's some people will have on the show different guests, and a lot of them, they do a great job. Don't get me wrong, fabulous talent, collections. A lot of them really, if you notice, their hands are kind of clean. There's not too much dirt under the fingernails. Well, we got a few pictures here coming up. We call it wrenching. So let's kind of step through these, Kevin. So that's everything on the K in your K-frame, K-member. Looks like you're getting ready to stuff the motor back in the Charger, right?
right, yeah, that was the first time that this car basically started my career, and
Beautiful.
this was really my first Mopar, and I had to thank our first tech editor of Mopar Connection Magazine, Mike Wilkins. He absolutely insisted that we drop the car over the engine rather than the Chevrolet stab it through the top. And of course, demonstrably easier, was very easy to handle. And even with a Harbor Freight cherry picker, we were able to do this without any sort of hiccups.
Too cool. I like this shot, by the way. Stout. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Stout 69. In fact, that was back when I lived in California. I grew up in Long Beach, California, but I married a Southern girl, and we moved out to Tennessee back in 2012. And I was able to get Stout 69 with the Tennessee plate too. So, yeah, I've been able to keep it. I had to explain to the ladies at the AAA what I meant by stout, and that I wasn't making a dirty joke with the 1969. But
and like I said, viewers, Kevin has a tendency to be kind of a hands-on publisher.
Oh, very much so.
Yeah,
Yeah, very much so. If you can't walk the walk, I don't think you deserve to talk the talk. This is well, okay, we're shooting through. That's before we put it on. Well, it's on the K-frame. That's before we drop the car over that. That is the 535. It has gone through a 535 stroker motor that we built back in 2013. It's probably been in 4 different iterations now.
Nice.
Quite a bit of work has been done. Same Edelbrock heads, but I had Hughes engines go through them about 3 years ago. Did a wonderful job. Car would lay down around 5,800 RPM, and I was not satisfied with that. And Dave Hughes went through, and we did the headwork and did their CNC porting job, and now the car shifts regularly at 6,300.
Woohoo! Beautiful. Okay, so one of the things I really like about this guy, again, he kind of like my brother from another mother, you have a tendency, opposed to others, in a polite way. I think I'll say it that. You kind of let your opinion get felt. So we got a video coming up where you talk to your viewers about essentially enjoying your car. Right? Let's see if we can run that.
Okay.
Rick.
Go ahead.
I keep reiterating a lot of the same tone in a lot of these videos, which is, if it's your car, it's yours to do with it as you wish, and don't let the naysayers tell you otherwise. I've seen a lot in the groups on Facebook and in the forums of guys who are really protective about being numbers, and that's fine, and I understand that. But I think a lot of people are hung up on numbers because of resale value, not because of enjoyment. And that's what is disappointing to me, because I think there's more to be had than just what's it worth. I think it's more of, and it's not that they're even interested in reselling the car. They just like the idea of, I have a $30,000 car, or I have a $50,000 car, or my car, some guy offered me $80,000. I have an $80,000 car. Okay, great. But how much are you enjoying it?
I love that perspective, especially how much, how much do you enjoy your car? You and I've talked before, and we've got a Superbird 2.0, and just we look a long time. We kind of make it the way we want it. Some purists get all excited, and yeah, we take it to the Friday night cruise or the Sunday morning car, some version of Cars and Coffee. And if some parents are there with their young child and they want to sit in the driver's seat, I can't open the door quick enough. Get a picture, enjoy it, because there's some guys that they go, "Oh, I don't want you looking at my car, much less take a picture." And I'm going, well, are you really enjoying your car? I mean, I think it kind of get lost in the shuffle, brother.
Well, if you'll allow me, I have to share a small experience that
Sure.
has changed. It is really what has forged a lot of my philosophy in regards to this entire hobby and my involvement in it.
Perfect.
And that was many, many years ago. I think I must have been maybe 17 or 18 years old. I went to a Saturday morning car cruise in Huntington Beach, California, and I was walking around with my older brother, and there was this Boyd Connington lookalike, heavy-set guy with a gray, salt and pepper beard, and he's in a Hawaiian shirt, and he set up his little beach chair next to his 32 Ford, and this was early 90s, and so it was all candied out and billet aluminum, and it was a nice car, don't get me wrong. He had a lot of time and effort on this thing.
Oh, yeah.
But he had probably 3 or 4 little standees around the car saying, "Do not touch, don't touch, stay away, blah, blah, blah."
Wow.
And this, I want to say probably maybe 13, 14-year-old young boy, he comes walking up, and he's respectfully got his hands either behind his back or next to his side, so he's not leaning in. And he's coming in to take a look at this guy's car. And this guy just jumps up and starts barking at him, and he's using some 4-letter words, and he's really howling at this kid. And I'm sitting back and I'm watching him. I go, "Congratulations, you just chased this young man away from ever wanting to be involved with these cars."
Good for you.
And it was such a visceral experience that I was like,
Yep.
You just chased this young guy away, and you could have been like, "Hey man, you want to check it out? Let me get up and I'll open the door." Or if you want me to walk you around it, I'll walk you around it.
Yeah.
And I have I've swung the complete opposite direction. When I pull up when I pull up in any number of either my car or any of the project cars for the magazines, and Lord knows I got too many, but I let people paw these things.
Perfect.
And I don't get me wrong, I have that '69 Charger here in the garage. And my 70 Fury convertible that we call Marcia.
Yep.
That car's getting paint right now. So
There
it's
you
out
go.
in North Carolina with Dave Chamberlain at All Classics Restoration.
Perfect.
But I let anyone just climb in, jump in,
Perfect.
whatever, because I remember that young man being chased away. And I laugh because, for example, I brought the Charger to all sorts of car shows, and dads will come up with their kids, and I go, "Open the door, get in." And the dads will be like, "Oh, no. I look at him, I said, I've set this car on fire twice. There's nothing you can do that I haven't done already."
Twice.
Yeah, twice. I can tell you both times. I've had to put fires out on that car. I
love it.
Scratched belt buckle scratches, dropped tools on it. I'm like, I've thrown tools at it in absolute anger. Do not think you can hurt this car. I've done it more than you have.
Good. Well,
because I want that kid to be excited about it.
Exactly.
And I don't care if it's a Mopar. I don't care if it's a Ford. I don't care if it's a Chevrolet.
Whatever you're
I want that kid to be excited about it.
Well, we were in the middle of COVID in the United States, and since we were kind of shut down, Jay Leno had this great discussion. So he doesn't care what kind of hot rod or cool car you got. Do him a favor, take it out of your garage, nothing else, drive it around your neighborhood, maybe across town. Some people are going to see that, and for a moment, they're going to have this cool memory. Say, look at that nice ride, and they get they get a chance to kind of step back from all the craziness going on. For the king of Segway, you talked about cars. We got a few pictures of cars of you guys have been out and about. Thank you very much for having the picture of the birds, by the way.
How could we not? It's one of the craziest things to ever come out of Chrysler.
Oh, absolutely. I think we got a few more coming up. Now, this is kind of a little gasser feel to it, right?
You're finding some of the weirdest stuff we found at car shows. All right, you go right ahead. Gasser straight axle C-body. All right, yeah, I guess we found it.
Well, it kind of fits with my personality, you know. So just
hey, that's great. That's great.
Man, that's a nice shot too.
Yes, yeah, that is at believe it or not, one of our project cars is in that lineup. We call it the Comeback CUDA. That was one of the early project cars that we started with our tech editor Mike Wilkins, where we built. It was a nobody. It was a 318 automatic, but it was a convertible 70 CUDA. And Mike looked at me square in the face and he goes, "I'm going to build a Hemi 4-speed convertible CUDA." And I said, "You're insane." And we built, it was not numbers matching. We didn't lie about it at all. We were very, very open. But we did a true 100-point restoration if it was a true numbers car. Beautiful. And we documented the snot out of it. It took us 4 years to do it.
Oh, excellent. I think we got a couple more coming up. Hello.
Oh, boy. Yes. You and your wing cars. All right. That of course. Oh, what is his name?
Yeah. And man,
I'm blanking.
Yeah, and then I'm blanking out.
I'm blanking. But yeah, that is a wild build that we caught that a couple times. It was at Mopar Nationals and it was at Roadkill Night. God, I'm blanking on his name. I'm gonna have to look it up. You're killing me here. I'm unprepared.
It was, sir, and I love the way this shot has the lighting and just it accents the lines. That's just sexy.
Well, to be fair, that's year one's photo shoot for their modern 18-inch versions of the 70 rally wheels.
Got it. Wow, very cool.
Yeah,
very cool.
Yeah. So admittedly, that's not my. I wish it was.
It's great shot of the car, and year one does great stuff with wheels. Okay, before we keep going, viewers, we got more videos coming up. We got one video towards the end to let you know. Kev's about as big a Hemi nut as I am, which is saying a lot. To date, sir, what's your favorite automotive memory?
Oh goodness!
I know. I'm sorry.
Well.
I know that's kind of a hard one for you because you got a whole bunch in your little mental Rolodex, I bet.
Yeah, I got some really fun ones. And although being, my whole life has been, my whole professional life, I should say, has been dedicated to Mopar. I did grow up in with a 1950s hot rodder dad and a 1980s. A 1980s, 1990s drag racing older brother. And, my dad was more into the hot rods and then he segued into road racing. And then my brother was a big street rod or street racing and classic muscle car. And so I got kind of an education in both of these. I have a quick story to share.
Perfect.
Was when I was 15 years old, my brother came home with a 1970 442 Oldsmobile.
Wow.
He hated the car. He hated it. He goes, "This thing is a pig. It's power everything. It's a big 455 that doesn't make any horsepower, power steering, power brakes, vinyl top, burgundy, black stripes." But 15-year-old me, I fell in love with it.
Oh, yeah.
And I swore to my dad, I said, "This is going to be my high school car." And he goes, "Okay, great. You're going to have to buy it off your brother." I said, "That's fine." I think he wanted to charge me $1,200 or whatever he wanted for it. And, this is 1992 or 91, I think. And the day came that my father and I were going to convince my mother that I was going to buy this 442 off of my brother and drive it to high school. And my dad and I had rehearsed this. Oh, it's great. I can take some kids I knew from. I'll take some kids from church to school in the morning, and I'll be able to carpool.
Yeah, help mom and dad. Yeah.
It's a big safe car, and it's this blah blah blah. And we had rehearsed this. And we had a family room above the garage, and my mom was sitting on the couch, and she was rolling her eyes, going, "Okay, here comes the sales pitch." So we are literally midway through the sales pitch, and my brother comes in the olds around our street and proceeds to do a 2-stage burnout, just hazing the tires, absolutely smoking these Cooper tires.
Oh, yeah.
Just the second gear. And then he comes up the driveway, and it's just, sitting there ticking and tick, 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 tick. He comes into the front door, and my dad and I are hanging our heads. And my mom is like, there is no way on God's green earth that I'm going to let my youngest boy drive that car to high school. You're out of your stinking mind. And my brother had cost me this car without knowing. So he ended up selling it and trading it out for whatever. That 442, to this day, I still think that the W30 hood on a 7442 is one of the sexiest hoods ever produced. Oh gosh. And so I have a sweet spot in my heart for these 70 W30 cars.
Oh yeah.
But,
all right, before we go, we got more pictures coming up. We got a couple videos. I think I know the answer, but I may not, because usually I like to ask my guests, what's your favorite automobile, hot rod, wherever that fits in your phraseology. I'm kind of thinking it's a 69 Charger, but maybe it's Martha. I'm confused now.
Oh, Marcia, yeah.
Marcia, yeah.
Marcia's fun. I'll tell you what, I have an Australian blue heeler that hates my Charger. Like every time I fire it up, she runs down. She tries to bite the exhaust pipes. She absolutely hates the car. Marcia, she would get mad at me if I even moved it around the driveway without her hopping in the car. So I have to take that dog drives every time I take the top down and drive it around.
So it's a little bit of each. Okay, what do we got coming up? Okay, so again, as you look what's going on, this amazing magazine that Kevin's putting together, not as only is he a hands-on guy, he actually kind of gets up and close and personal. I think we got a video. Kevin, you kind of help us walk through this. You toured an amazing facility that builds not only crankshafts, but some pretty cool Mopar blocks. Hey Rick, pull up that video. Yeah, let's see what we got here.
Hey guys, Kevin Shaw here, editor-in-chief of Mopar Connection Magazine. We're in Fostoria, Ohio to check out Cali's performance products at their main headquarters. So there's a lot of machine shop noise. Yeah, so they are serious on crankshafts, right, buddy?
Well, Cali's is, for you guys who know Top Fuel alcohol, you'll know the Cali's name left, right, and center. Cali's is, and Heath Norton, the new owner, sadly his father passed away just recently, and so Heath has taken over the reins of the family business. But Cali's has absolutely established themselves as a high-performance leader in all things performance crankshaft, whether it's Mopar or inline. I mean, they do diesel, high performance diesel and tractor pull cranks, and they're doing all sorts of stuff. But in addition to the Cali's name, they also have the Compstar brand, which is more of an affordable Cali's crank and Cali's rods and Cali's equipment that goes through the same stringent checking for Cali's, everything that, Cali's goes through and does all their quality control checks. So you're effectively getting a Cali's product for a fraction of the cost.
And I like the shot of the blocks, by the way. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's Willy Wonka's factory right there.
Yeah. And I love that shot of you saying goodbye, and like you're almost hyperventilating, man. It's kind of cool.
Well, I'm surrounded by all these heavy motors, and I'm like, how do I steal one of these?
Yeah.
Can you
just slip it under your shirt? They may not notice.
Oh, God.
But obviously, we want to give a big shout out to everybody at Callie's for being so courteous and let you come in, and we can share with our viewers as well. They kind of sound like the go-to place for a lot of your needs, right?
Well, they picked up the contract with Mopar to produce the iron blocks for Mopar. And that was something and there was a big backlog. All you guys have been wanting to jump into Hemis. You couldn't get blocks. Right. And suddenly Callie has all the iron blocks waiting on shelves. So if you want it, fire it up and go get it. And they have it. And then they'll set you up with cranks and rods. All you got to do is basically find pistons. And pistons are easy.
Those are the easy piece. We got a few picks coming up of different event coverage because these guys get around. So anytime you see this pop up, you know you got to stop by and say hi, right, buddy?
Yes, sir. This is at the Holly Mo Party where we put up. This is our old booth. We actually have a whole new booth that I'm really excited about. It's going to be at the Holly Mo Party, and we're actually doing some really big giveaways this year with Edelbrock. So if you are planning on going to the Holly Mo Party, please come by and check it out. We have a lot of stuff. We have new T-shirts, stickers, a big stack of stickers. We're giving away about $1,200 worth of Holley performance parts. Really big deal. I mean, we're at Mopar Nationals. We're at Chrysler's at Carlisle. We're at Matt's. But the Holly Mo Party is just an hour north of my house. Beautiful. So we come up in a big way. I've been on the board, the planning board of the Holly Mo Party since its beginning.
Beautiful.
So that's something kind of near and dear to my heart.
We got a few more shots coming. And so you notice a lot of these shots, there's that little banner right behind it that kind of lets you know where you're at.
Yes, sir. Yeah, that's the comeback CUDA. That's the Hemi CUDA that we built. That's my beat up Charger.
I think we got a few more, as a matter of fact. Oh, that's such a nice shot. And I love getting muscle cars on the grass, man.
Yeah. I'll never shoot a car on, a car feature on the grass because it's not a lawnmower. But you can't help it when you're at Carlisle to see the huge rows of cars lined up.
Oh, absolutely. Hello.
Yes, sir. That's the burnout competition at Mopar Nationals that just happened recently, and
I love it.
Yeah, I love the steer horns on the front of the Charger. That's
absolutely, man. Just kind of in your face, and so I'm going to show you a burnout.
Yeah.
And I believe this is Matt's here in Las Vegas.
Yes, sir. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, at the Strip.
At the Strip.
Yeah.
And for the viewers, I've had the pleasure of being involved with Phil and Jill Painter since day one. Amazing event, and now it's Muscle Cars, the Strip, and it's open to anybody. You got to check out, see what's going on each year. Yeah,
and especially the ride along. I know they have the Hotchkiss used to support the big autocross event, and now they have a big ride along event. So there's a lot going on at Matt's, and so if you haven't gone, you're missing out.
You're missing out. So is that you and part of your crew, so to speak?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Cool. The man standing up is our former tech editor, Mike Wilkins. We hired Chris Hawley as our new tech editor as Mike retired. Chris Hawley is a former tech writer for the old Mopar Muscle magazine. In fact, a lot of us are former print magazine guys. We're kind of the island of misfit toys. We have a lot of guys who wrote for Mopar Action, Mopar Collector's Guide. We're all here at Mopar Connection. And the gentleman smiling there is Gavin Wollenberg. He is our current editor.
Oh, cool.
And he handles the day-to-day with the magazine. We publish new articles every single day, Monday through Friday, entirely subscription-free. Beautiful. So if you're a daily kind of person, he's the one making sure those articles go up live. And every Friday we put out a newsletter that's also free that recaps the week's articles. So beautiful. Whether you're over the weekend or a daily person, if you're at the job site and you don't have access to a computer, I understand. You can check it out over the weekend. Or if you're stuck behind a desk like sad saps like me, you can check it out every day.
I think we got one more. So, hey, there's the Wonder Dog.
Yes, that is Ruka, my blue healer, in our 70 Plymouth Fury 3 convertible. It's the same. We named it Project Marsha because it's the same car that Mike Brady drove for 2 years on the Brady Bunch. blue on blue with a white top. I found it in a tobacco barn in North Carolina just last June.
I love it.
318, it's a 318 automatic, and it was just kind of a wimpy little thing. But Jim Hannon, who's been helping us out on the YouTube channel, Jim Hannon and I are we've already built a torque light for it. I've already done the 8 3/4 swap to make it a shirt grip, and I'm building a 440 for it. Nothing too crazy. I want to make sure the dog still likes going for rides in it.
There you go.
She doesn't like the big camshafts, but
I got it. Too cool.
I'm hoping to have that car on Power Tour next June. That's
perfect. We got another video coming up, and as I've said, I'm a big fan of what Kevin's doing, and he kind of lets you know what he thinks on different topics. So here's a little bit of perspective about the Power Tour.
When the tour brought on Toyota as a major sponsor, they allowed any and all Toyotas into the show field, whether it was a minivan, a 4-door Camry, or a Prius. Others showed up in rental cars and daily drivers too. We spent almost all of Tuesday night watching footage on YouTube and Facebook showing all the modern cars. Dude, it looks like a Walmart parking lot, Parker joked. Modern muscle and sports cars are one thing, but parking between a Toyota Corolla and a lifted 4Runner is just another.
Okay, that's not fair.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was kind of cool.
No. Now you backed it into a corner. So last June, not this recent year, but last year's Power Tour, I had a very unsuccessful first day, and we went through construction, and I tore the 7-quart oil pan apart in the Charger, and that pretty much hung us up for.
So you were kind of grumpy.
I was thankfully at the time of that recording, the wounds had healed and I had calmed down. But what had happened was after we got the car home on Monday night, we thrashed till 2 a.m. and then woke up at 6 and thrashed on the car till about 4 o'clock on Tuesday. And we were getting ready to go to the third day of Power Tour, which at the time, last year it was Hoover, Alabama. And I had my older brother and his youngest son with me. They had flown out from California. And we were going to do the whole tour. We had lost the first days. We lost Memphis and we lost Nashville. And we were thinking, okay, maybe we're going to pick up and go to Hoover. Well, I'm friends with Ryan Brutt, who was there on behalf of the Tim Wilburn Museum. Yep. And we had a few other guys who were there. And they had heard that we had torn the pan and we were scrambling to replace that. And the phone calls started coming in, and they're like, "Hey man, have you left for Alabama yet?" And I said, "No." And my brother was getting the same sort of phone calls, and they're like, "It's kind of a mess." And I said, "Really?" And they're like, "Yeah, it's kind of a mess." And then the Nashville, there was cars that got stolen, and in Memphis there were people passing out because of the heat, and the lines were 3 hours long. And Nashville wasn't much better. One guy don't get me wrong, it's not my favorite car, but it was a Nash American wagon. Wow. And he had the honey truck. He had the porta potty truck back into his car and wipe out the front of his car. Oh my goodness. And then another guy in an AC Cobra had his engine block cracked, and it was just a nightmare. And it was all stacking up. And everyone I knew was like, "Don't go. Just sit this one out." And then everyone was in Plan B cars. They were in their minivans, they were in their SUVs, and Toyota had come in, and Toyota had said, "Hey, if we're going to sponsor the event, you got to let all the Toyotas come in." So guys were showing up in Scions and Priuses, and my nephew goes, "Why don't we just go to Target?" And he's like, "I don't even want to go." So we ended up backing out, and that was kind of the reasoning for it. And this year, I talked to a lot of my friends, and they said it didn't repeat at all.
Very good. Very good.
And so Power Tour has had to evolve over the years. I mean, I got started at Hot Rod Magazine back in 2004. Yeah. So, Hot Rod was always the gold standard. And, and I had gone to different stops I had never done the whole long haul.
Yeah.
But I'd always gone to different stops over the years. And this was going to be the year I want to do long haul. And
Sure.
I'm like, I did it in I was trying to do it in a 10-second charger with 600 pounds of Irishman in it.
Exactly.
And I'm like, this is a terrible idea.
Okay, we got some neat posts coming up because I love your sense of humor as well. There's some people's
This is
type
Gavin.
of. Yeah, I love this. by the way.
Gavin puts up the midday meme every day on our social media. But
I
go
love
ahead.
it. So this next one, I about fell over. I love it. Hey, a penny.
Yeah.
That is way too cool. And Dennis, and for the viewers, because you got to have a little, we want to support the other badges out there. So it's great, like you saying, a Camaro and a Mustang and a Charger wide body all hanging out together. Now, that's now. I'll send all cards and letters to Kevin Shaw. Okay, but
no, send them to Gavin.
Send them to Gavin, even better. Okay, so
that's why I hired an editor. Send it to him.
And we got a couple of on the media side. I found this picture. So there is a jet ski in the middle of a car show.
Yeah, well, that was. I believe that was part of a ad campaign that they did of just doing fun, silly stuff during the summer. I do not think that Walmart pool survived very long after they got that shot.
I think you'd be right. And by the way, they can get their latest swag from you guys, right?
Yes, yeah. Help us keep our lights on. We're giving the magazine away for free. So buy a shirt, please.
Absolutely. Make sure to sign me up. Okay, before we say goodbye, and I've been kind of letting the viewers know, Kevin's the real deal. And me, myself, and I, when I get a new part for our Superbird 2.0 in the garage, it is like Christmas in March, whatever time of the year. So viewers, check out what Kevin got in the mail, so to speak.
So as I wait for the primer to dry on the 505, I have something special here to celebrate National Hemi Day. That's 4/26, April 26th. Now, at the time of this recording, it's a few days away, but you guys might be seeing it before or after Hemi Day. So either way, let's talk about 426 Hemis. The one thing that I've always wanted for my 69 Charger, of course, has been the legendary 426 second generation Hemi. I've had some opportunities to do maybe a Hellcat swap and even a Demon engine swap, but I always turned those down. When it came to the 69 Charger, when it came to Project Brazen, that car needed to have a true second generation 426 Hemi. I think I put the order in for these back in 2018. Yeah, maybe late 2018. So we're looking at over 4.5 years. Here we go. But let's take this out of the box. Oh, guys, I know there's a lot of argument about big blocks versus small blocks, and there's guys out there who swear all day long that they walked on a real 426 Hemi back in the day in a 346 pack or even a small block Chevrolet or blah 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 blah. Yeah, and you know what? I've seen the numbers. The bone stock 426 Hemis back in the day were dogs. I know they came with dog cams. They were dogs. I know, but it's still a Hemi.
Right on, brother. It's still a Hemi. I think we got some contact information coming up on the screen. Kevin, if you can walk us through that, let people know how to get hold of you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, that is my email address. In addition to Mopar Connection Magazine, we also do publish a second publication called the Watercraft Journal, and so I have to have a email that answers both of those, and so that is my contact information. And it's been fun being your own publisher and being your own boss. I think that that's probably the best lesson I ever learned was learn what you can from those people around you, and then strike out on your own and see if you can do it. Some people can, some people can't.
Some people can't. So before we say goodbye, over what would be your right shoulder, is that one of those new shiny Hemi heads?
Yes, yeah.
Nice.
I was joking earlier. I'm like, oh, this old thing. But yeah, this. I wanted to have something nice.
Yeah.
I have like, this is my home office, so it's like, okay, I got some coats hanging up, but I want to put something out.
That's a great paperweight, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Nothing's getting out from underneath this thing. We are working on a 572 cubic inch engine. Nice. Right now, we are in the parts accruing process.
Yes, sir.
And then the problem is that the aftermarket for the 426 Generation 2 Hemi is still very thin.
We know.
And it's
tell me about it.
It's very expensive. And thankfully, I'm working with some wonderful companies who are working at making these more available. We talked about Cali's cranks and rods and the blocks. Edelbrock has the heads. And of course, there's other manufacturers who are making heads. Indy Cylinder Head, by all means, has their own blocks and their own heads and their own manifolds. And Indy's been wonderful working with us.
Absolutely.
And the nice thing is that we are in a time where you don't have to worry about numbers matching. You can just build the engine you want. And I think this is something right. I think it's, everyone can joke and say, if I was building a Camaro, I'd be done 10 years ago and for a quarter of the price. Same thing with like, hey, I'm going to build a Mustang, build a big block Mustang or a high revving small block Mustang. Mopar guys were kind of stuck. And now we're in a point where the aftermarket is really ramping up, and the aftermarket is really meeting a lot of the demand. And so you can restore or you can resto mod a classic car as long as you can get into a classic. And thankfully AMD is around.
Yes, sir.
They're providing a lot of sheet metal. And so I'm by all means, if you have a numbers car, it deserves to be restored. If it is a really rare car, let that car live. But if it's a nobody, if it's a straight six or a 318 two barrel,
go play with it.
Build it the way you want and have fun and bang the gears and do burnouts and get the other kids excited about it. That's
love it.
My Charger's not a real RT car. All right, I cloned an RT and I put a cage and subframes in it. I had a guy tell me, "Oh, you ruined that car." I go, "It was a 318 two barrel. It was a banker's car." "Oh, you still ruined it." I'm like, "You're crazy. You're crazy, man."
I love it. What a great way to close out the show. Just enjoy your car, right? And you figure out what works for you and just make it your own. Well, brother, we cannot thank you enough for being on the show. It's been our honor to share all this time, especially with a fellow Mopar Hemi nut.
Oh, yeah. Nothing makes a bigger scene than opening up the hood and seeing a real Gen 2 Hemi. It melts kids' brains.
Absolutely. Well, Kevin, we can't thank you enough for being on this show. I know we're going to be hooked up soon. We may even be able to spend time at the mats one of these years, brother.
Fantastic. That'd be great.
All right. Take care out there, and God bless, man.
My pleasure. Thank you, guys.
You bet. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes this week's episode of Car Stars and Roll Bars. Check out everything that Mopar Connection Magazine is doing. It is exceptionally cool reading, and you're probably going to learn a couple things you hadn't even thought about. Hit me up on social media, which is YouTube and all the different platforms. Share the information, and until next time, enjoy the ride.